4-H member raises only goats and pigs. She wants to raise no more than 16 animals, including no more than 10 goats. She spends $25 to raise a goat and $75 to raise a pig and has 900 available. Each goat produces $12 in profit and each pig $40 in profit. How many goats and how many pigs should she raise to maximize total profit? Well, first thing let's do is just set up the problem. I notice this is a maximize problem. No, that's way too big. And we can say that goats will represent X and Y will represent pigs. So let's look at the problem. We're going to maximize profit equal. And notice they're talking about $12 in profit for each pig and $40 in profit for each. That's $12 for a goat. So that's 12x and 40 for a pig. So we've got that. And then we go back and look at the constraints, subject to. Okay, so no more than 16 animals. All right, so animals, you're talking about all of them. So x plus y, that's the goats and pigs, has to be less than or equal 16. No more than 10 goats. Well, goats was x. So that would be x is less than or equal 10. And spending 25 for goats and 75 for pigs, and you've got a limit of 900. So that's a pretty common inequality as well. 25x plus 75y is less than or equal 900. Now, normally when we write a problem like this, we're also going to say this just to make sure we don't have any negative numbers for goats and pigs. But what I really care about are the constraints there. I'm trying to solve this problem. I'm trying to maximize using the Simplex method. So I want some what's called slack variables. Each of those inequalities is going to have its own slack variable. So let's do that. All right, now what I like to do is list out the variables in the problem. I see an x and a y. S1, S2, S3, and we're trying to maximize profit. Sometimes that's a Z, but I used a P, so we'll use that. I see 6 variables in this problem. So look at your inequalities, and the slack variables are trying to make them equations. So you've got x plus y with a slack variable, S1, no slack 2, no slack 3, no profit. And once we use that slack variable and turn into an equation, it's going to equal 16. The second one just says x with an S2 equals 10. And then the third one says 25x and 75y. No slack 1, no slack 2, yes slack 3, no p, and it equaled 900. Underline to separate the constraints from the objective function. And then don't forget to put this in standard form. You're going to subtract the 12x over and get negative 12. You're going to subtract the 40 over and get negative 40. We don't need any slack because that one's already an equation. Don't forget about the profit. There was 1p in that equation. And once you move everything over, it equals 0. So this is my initial Simplex tableau. You can read a solution from it, but I know it won't be at the maximum because when you see those negatives, you don't have the optimal solution or the maximum profit in this case. So according to the steps, you look in that bottom row at your indicators and find the one that's the most negative. That would be this negative 40. So most negative, we're going to circle that column. And then you want to look at the numbers that you've circled and the numbers on the far right and divide them to find the lowest non-negative ratio. So 16 over 1 is 16, and 10 over 0, that's undefined. You won't do that one. And 900 over 75, I don't know what that is. 900 over 75 is 12. So that's 12. So it's this one. 900 over 75 is 12. That's the smallest ratio. So I'm using this row right here. Okay. The number that I've circled twice is my pivot element. This 75, that's my pivot element. That's the one that I want to use to make the others equal 0. So I'm going to start with this 1, and I want to make that into a 0. Okay, so the rule I'm going to use, I'm going to say 75 row 1s minus row 3. Okay, so here we go. 75 row 1s minus row 3. That's going to be 75 minus 25 is 50. And 75 row 1s minus row 3, that's going to be 0. 75 of these minus this is going to be 75. 75 of these minus this is going to be 0. 75 of these minus this is going to be negative 1. 75 of these minus this is going to be 0. 75 of these minus this, I don't know about that. 75, 16 minus, that was 900, is 300. Okay. Now, a couple of things. I'm going to scoot this over if I can. But I'm also going to label it. You should probably get in the habit of labeling your variables just so you don't forget what things are. That was X, that was Y, that was S1, S2, S3, and P. All right. Now, the good news is my second row here is already a 0. And that's what I'm looking for. There's no point in doing anything with it. Just leave it alone. It's already a 0. That's what we want. So I'm just going to copy this row completely. Oops. We've got 1, 0, 0, 1 under the S2, 0, 0, and 10. And then the third row has my pivot element. I can leave that one alone as well. Underline. And then the bottom one, I gotta zero out a negative 40 using that 75. Okay, so I need another rule here. Let me make a better line here. I just multiply them together. Okay, I don't want to think about an LCM. I'm too lazy to do that, I guess. But if you just go 75 of the row 4s plus 40 of the row 3s, that's going to do it. Because 75 times negative 40 and 40 times 75, that's definitely going to zero out. So I don't even really have to think about it that much. But you probably will need to calculate it because those numbers are so big. So 75 of the row 4s, first number is negative 12, plus 40 of the row 3 numbers, which was 25, gives me 100. Okay, so that number right there is 100. And my Y number is 0. And then I've got to do this one. Okay, good, 0. 75 of those plus 40 of those is still going to be 0. And 75 of those plus that's still going to be 0. 75 of those plus 40 of those is going to be 40. 75 of those plus 40 of those is going to be 75. And 75 of these plus 40 of these 900s. 40 times 900 is 36,000. Okay, so check it out. Notice I don't have any negative numbers on the bottom. That's good. That means that I'm finished. That means that whatever this solution is, that's my optimal solution. So you've got some basic variables. Here's one. Oops, I've been doing yellow, so let's do yellow. Basic variable here and here, here and here. Non-basic variable here and here. So we've got x equals y equals s1 equals s2 equals s3 equals and p equals. So x is a non-basic variable. That's always going to be 0. Y is basic. You've got that 75. Make sure you look at the 900. So 900 divided by 75 is 12. So y is 12. S1, 300 divided by 75, that's 4. S2, 10 divided by 1 is just 10. S3 is non-basic, so that's easy. That's 0. And P is 36,000 divided by 75. $480. Get rid of that dot. Looks like a decimal point. $480 there. Okay. So think about the context of this problem. We're talking about how many goats and how many pigs. Goats was X and pigs was Y. So this answer, 0 and 12, means 0 goats and 12 pigs for a profit of $480. Now, that's your solution, but let's talk about the slack for a second. Okay, this slack actually has some meaning as well. It's not just there for no reason. S1, okay, if you think about the context behind the inequality for S1, let's look at this here. S1 was talking about no more than 16 animals. And so think about our solution. Our solution, we had 0 goats and 12 pigs. That's only 12 animals. So since we were supposed to have no more than 16 animals, but our solution only had 12, that means we had room for 4 more animals. That's what this S1 stands for. It means there was room for 4 more animals in that inequality. And so then we look at the second inequality here, S2, slack 2. Slack 2 is saying no more than 10 goats. Okay, no more than 10 goats. So your S2 value of 10, well, we didn't have any goats. So our solution said 0 goats, but we were allowed to have no more than 10 goats. So that means there's room for 10 goats. You know, there was leftover room for 10 goats. Slack. Think about what that word means. Okay, S3 equals 0. We'll look at that inequality. This was the one that was talking about money. It was talking about spends 25 to raise a goat and 75 and has 900 available. So if there's 0 slack for that one, that means there was $0 left over. Okay, that means she spent exactly what she needed without having any money left over. Okay, and I can prove it. $25 to raise a goat and $75 to raise a pig. Think about it. 25 times 0 goats plus $75 for the 12 pigs that she raised is exactly $900. There's nothing left over. There's no slack, and that's why that S3 equals 0. So our main solution, 0 goats, 12 pigs, and a maximum profit of 480. I think you understand that, but please understand that the slack variables also have some meaning. It's talking about what's left over that didn't get used up.